Human control. This is the big one. AI should inform human decisions, not completely replace human oversight, especially for really significant decisions about individuals.
So AI suggests human decides.
Essentially, yes. And the oversight needs to be meaningful. There's a warning in the guide about becoming over-reliant, losing those critical human analytical skills. Plus, legislation like the Data Protection Act reinforces the need for human involvement.
Okay. Transparency and explainability are in there too. You need to be able to explain how the AI reached its conclusion.
Yes. That might be needed legally, but it's also fundamental for public trust. People have a right to understand and maybe challenge government decisions, even AI-informed ones.
Even if the tech is super complex.
Even then,
Yeah.
you might not explain every algorithmic detail, but explaining the strategic basis, the priorities the AI is working towards, that's vital for maintaining confidence.
Fairness is another critical one, the bias issue.
Huge issue. If your training data reflects historical biases, the AI might learn and even amplify them, maybe directing resources unfairly or flagging certain groups disproportionately.
So you have to actively check for and mitigate bias.
You have to, both in the data and in how the tool works. And again, having humans in the loop helps here. An analyst can review the AI's output, consider the wider context, and potentially override a biased conclusion. The whole process needs to consider who it affects.
And then there's privacy and civil liberties. AI often means dealing with enormous amounts of data.
Which brings major challenges around data governance. Do you have enough clean, labeled data? How do you share data securely, respecting privacy? How do you maintain trust and accountability? Agencies have to ensure data security, protect privacy, uphold civil liberties. It's non-negotiable.
And finally, competencies. Just having the AI tools isn't enough.
Not at all. You need skilled people. People who understand the tech, natural language processing, data analytics, machine learning, but also have deep expertise in counter fraud itself.
It's that combination.
Exactly. A multidisciplinary skill set is needed to actually implement these tools effectively, interpret the results properly, and manage the risks involved.
Now, bringing in another perspective, the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, the NCSC. They have some specific views on the risks around large language models.
Yeah, the NCSC is quite pragmatic. They stress LLMs aren't magic bullets, they have definite limitations.
Like what?
Well, they can hallucinate, basically make things up convincingly. They can reflect biases from their training data. They can be quite gullible if prompted cleverly. They need huge resources. And they can be coaxed into generating toxic stuff or fall victim to injection attack.
Injection attack.
Where you craft prompts to manipulate the LLM into doing something it shouldn't, bypassing its safeguards.
Okay. And what about the worry people have? If I put sensitive information into a public LLM query, could someone else find it later?
Right, that's a common concern. The NCSC clarifies that generally today's public LLMs don't automatically add your specific query data into their core model for others to access. However, and this is the crucial bit, the organization hosting the LLM does usually retain your query data.
So you absolutely need to read the privacy notice.
Always. And the NCSC's practical advice is blunt. Don't put sensitive stuff into public LLM queries. Avoid asking anything you wouldn't want to become public knowledge.
Makes sense. What about cyber criminals using LLMs? What's the NCSC view there?
Well, they're definitely using them for things like developing malware. Although the NCSC notes that for really sophisticated stuff, experienced hackers often still find it quicker to code it themselves or adapt existing malware. Relying solely on an LLM can mean spending a lot of time fixing its errors.
But they can help skilled attackers write capable malware.
Yes, they can assist. And they can also help with other parts of an attack.
Great.
Like, say an attacker gets initial access to a network but isn't sure how to escalate their privileges. They could ask the LLM for technical guidance. It's like having a knowledgeable, if occasionally flawed, assistant.
And maybe most significantly for the kind of fraud we've been talking about, LLMs are really good at mimicking writing styles.
Extremely good. Which translates directly into much more convincing phishing emails.
And doing it at scale in different languages.
Yeah, exactly. This is a big help for attackers who might be technically skilled, but maybe not great linguistically. They can now generate highly credible phishing messages in the target's own language, making them far harder to spot.
So summing up the NCSC view on LLMs and criminals, more convincing phishing, definitely. Attackers trying new things, yes, but maybe not a sudden flood of super malware from unskilled attackers just yet.
That seems to be the assessment. The increased sophistication and reach of phishing, though, that remains a major worry driven by this tech.
So, given all this, what's the path forward? The UK government is obviously focused here, setting up the AI Safety Institute.
Yes, that evolved from the earlier Frontier AI Task Force. Its main job is to test these cutting-edge AI models, the Frontier AI, both before and after they get released, specifically to understand the risks.
And they're looking at everything, not just fraud.
The whole spectrum, from social harms like bias and misinformation, all the way up to potential extreme risks like, losing control of AI systems down the line.
That sounds ambitious.
It is. And importantly, they're not trying to do it alone. They're working with places like the Alan Turing Institute and building international partnerships. They explicitly mention collaborating with the US AI Safety Institute and Singapore.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
it really feels like we've seen AI as this incredibly powerful force. Huge opportunities for fighting fraud with data, but also giving criminals significant new ways to deceive and manipulate.
Yeah, the core tension is definitely that speed gap. The tech advances so fast, legislation, enforcement, developing those ethical guidelines, they move much more slowly.
And despite all the power of the AI itself, the human element, that still seems absolutely central.
It has to be. Human oversight, critical thinking,
Yeah.
really understanding the potential for things to go wrong,
Yeah.
bias, manipulation, simple errors. These are non-negotiable.
It's not just about having the tech, it's about using it wisely.
Responsibly, yeah. With informed human judgment guiding how it's used and how we interpret what it tells us.
Absolutely. Which brings us to a final thought, maybe for you, our listener. We've talked a lot about how convincing AI-generated fraud is becoming deepfakes, voice cloning. So, thinking about your own online life, what new kinds of digital proof, maybe new forms of authentication or verification, what do you think we'll need to maintain trust online as this technology develops?
It's a really pertinent question, isn't it? Something that affects pretty much everyone navigating the digital world today.
Indeed. Well, that's all for this deep dive.